Hello everyone and welcome to our at-home pain reducing foam rolling routine. So as you probably know, knee pain is not always just caused by tight quads or tight hamstring, but also by the loss of hip mobility and ankle mobility. So if you really want to get rid of knee pain, it's not enough to just roll your quads and then IT bend and stretch your quads and stretch your hamstrings, but you really want to get deep into your hips and release the hips because the hips need a lot of space to function well, and also the ankle. So what we're going to do today, we're going to work with the foam roller. So I have this high density foam roller, the good old foam roller. Also I have a vibrating peanut and a vibrating ball. But the first one, let's start with the black foam roller, because for a lot of you this black foam roller is going to be just enough. So first you just want to make sure that you start with the big muscles in your hips, which are your hip external rotators, down on the sort of the upper part of your glute. So you're going to roll your left side. It means your left foot is going to be on your right knee, and you're going to slowly roll all the way to that hip bone, the ilium called, and nice and slowly down all the way to the top of your femur bone, okay? And you're kind of looking for tender spots. When you feel you got a tender spot, a little trigger point, you kind of sit on it, and let's do a little motion, bringing the knee in and back, in and back. So you're gonna do this side for a while, about probably 30 seconds. Then you're gonna turn completely on the side, and you want to work on this muscle that's on top here, which is called the TFL, which actually turns into IT bend. So completely on the side. And again, you're looking for some tender spots. When you find them, again, I like to move the joint. So I do a nice little hip flexion and then hip extension. And that way you put a little bit of pressure while you're moving that muscle. Now for me, this doesn't do much. It's just not detailed enough. And for some of you at the same position, we're going to take the ball and we're going to work with the ball. So under your hip, sit on it, put the foot up, and this really painful way. You can find a lot of tender spots and trigger points right in here. So we're moving around. You can do circles with it. You can go left and right, up and down. Really work those muscles, okay? When you're done with that side, put it on your side. Upper leg, upper foot stays down. And now we're going to bring the knee in, so nice little hip flexion and then hip extension. And really look for those tender spots. You can move forward a little bit on your hip in here, move back a little bit, but really kind of find those tender trigger points, okay? So we do about 3 hip flexions for each inch. And this muscle is about 5 to 6 inches. So you go like, 3 or 4 times up and down, and you're done. Of course, you gotta do the other side. So you're starting here, same side that you're rolling, that foot goes up, and we're going to roll it, and we put those trigger points, find it, you can do a little bit of motion here. Good. Spend about 30 seconds on that, and you're going to turn around on the side, and put it right in the middle of it, upper foot stays down, and we're going to do some hip flexion in here with hip extension. And spend again about 30 seconds at least on this side. Really, for a lot of you who are runners, this is imperative. You need to release this TFL, glute medius complex, okay? Then, so that kind of take care of the side of the hip and the back of the hip. And now we want to move in front of the hip, and we're talking about your hip flexing complex, which is 3 muscles, your rectus femoris here, followed by your iliacus, which is in the middle of your hip, and goes up a little bit into your psoas, that goes kind of towards the belly, but really deep inside, that's actually to the spine. So we want to roll a little bit that complex muscle. So we're gonna just lie on it, and then again, moving around, trying to find those tender spots in front of your hip this time, all the way to the beginning of your femur bone, your quads. When you find that trigger point, you're going to squeeze the glute and lift the leg up. And then let it sink all the way in for about 5 seconds. and then squeeze the glute, lift the leg up. If you want, you can turn on, if you have the vibrating ball, you can turn on the vibration and work on it and move up all the way kind of towards your navel, nice and slowly to release. Like if I put it right next to my navel, that's where the psoas is, and you can just kind of relax and sink into it and do a little extension through your hip and then sink. You really feel that psoas, and that's a big release. And once again, you're kind of moving around a little bit to kind of find that spot, and when you extend the leg, you can actually feel the muscle a little bit. Put a little tension on it, okay? So that takes care of the hip. Now, let's move to our legs. So I like to start with the quads, and I start from right above the kneecap. And for a lot of you, it's enough to just put two legs together and just kind of roll all the way to the top of your legs, and then roll back, minus the top of your quads. And then you can go a little on the side and do the same little twist of your hips and do the same. For a lot of you, this is going to be enough. If it's not enough, then what you want to do is start right above the kneecap with your left leg. Let's say put your right leg on top and do one leg at a time. Nice and slowly, looking for tender spots. And then when you find that tender spot, the trigger point, stay there and bend the knee. So we're going to do 3 bends, right? So might as well just start from the kneecap, do 3 bends, move up an inch, do 3 bends, 1, 2, 3, move up an inch, do 3 bends, and you kind of get this like 5 times until you get to the top. Now you're going to turn a little bit on the side. Let's say I want to do the right leg now. So now I'm going between my quad and my IT band. So it's a little bit on the side. I'm actually on my lateral quad and a little bit of my IT band, and do the same. Really bend the knee here to really, really release that muscle. And sometimes that lateral quad and IT band, they get glued together. You want to unglue them, okay? So this, for a lot of you, is going to be very, very painful. So this is enough. And if it's too painful to bend the knee, then just don't bend the knee. Just go up and down nice and slowly, at least 3 times up and down, okay? When you're done with that, turn completely on the side on the IT bend, right above the kneecap, and let's do 3 bends here. Once again, it's going to be very painful for a lot of you, but if it's not, go up an inch, do 3 bends, and you get the picture now. 1 inch up, 3 bends. That's how I like it. Really, this is my IT band. If this is not enough for you, not hard enough for you, like in my case, then I really enjoy to work with the peanut. And I turn the peanut on and it starts vibrating. And I put it down and I do the same thing. You know, I little vibration in there, and this is a pretty hard peanut. So I just bend and move up an inch, bend 3 times. Okay, and you can see the same on the IT band. Put it down, and let's bend 3 times. This for me, it's really, really good. I love it. Right, 2, 3, move up an inch. When you get a little higher on the leg, on your femur bone, it gets a little more painful because it gets bigger. So here it's nice and painful. But you do it, and the more you do it, the easier it's going to get. And you can actually go all the way up to the top here and do this one. If you just be on one side of the peanut. There we go. And that takes care of your leg. Turn this baby off. Right? So we did the back of the hip, the side of the hip, the front of the hip, then the front of your quad, the front of your leg, a little on the side of the leg, and then completely on the side of the leg. And then what's left now is our calves. And the calves are kind of complicated because it's really hard to roll them, but we're going to try. So what you can do, you can use your high density foam roller first. And I like to try to go right foam. But it's a little hard because you have to support yourself here. And you put your other leg on top because you need a little more weight. And you lift. And you slowly roll your calves, and you're gonna move a little bit. There we go. And you can do a little bit of ankle flexion and extension when you feel there's a little bit of tension, a little bit of a trigger point. And then you can go a little bit on the side because these muscles called peroneals, they really get a lot of work, especially if you're a runner. So you can roll on these guys too. And then when you get to the top where it's a little more painful because they get a little bigger, then you can do a little, again, flexion, extension, or eversion and inversion. It's really working well. If this is not enough for you guys, the big time runners, then you can take the peanut and do the same thing. Flag on top and roll the peanut. Turn on the vibrator and just roll, roll, roll. Find the trigger point, stay there for a second, and do a little ankle flexion. If this is not enough, then you can take the ball. And the ball, let's say we turn it on, put it down. This is nice and very detailed. It's a little complicated because you have to kind of support yourself on top of the ball, but it really gets in there. And it can be pretty painful. I found the spot, I'm gonna stay on it, and I'm gonna do a little bit of ankle flexion. Lift my butt up, move up a little bit, nice and deep here, and a little flexion. And that is all for foam rolling, right? And then after you foam roll the back of your hips, the side of the hips, the front of the hips, front of the quads, side of the quads, side IT band, calves, peroneal muscles, okay? That's pretty much what you need to do if you want to get rid of knee pain. You start with foam rolling and then you move into stretching, okay? So when you want to stretch, now we're going to stretch those muscles. First you want to stretch your hips, and obviously not a lot of you can go into a pigeon, but if you can't do a pigeon, you can do a modified version, which is called a mermaid. So you get in this position nice and tall, and you're going to go sideways. You're going to come back, and you're going to do about 5 repetitions, and then you're going to switch. Let's go, a nice little mermaid, nice and tall. Make sure both knees are down. A nice side stretch. Okay, then we're going to go and stretch our hip flexors first. So we're going to a high, sort of half kneel position. Make sure your hips are in front of your back knee, abs in, and we're going to stretch the hips here, leaning forward. Lean forward. If you want to be nice and you want to soften a little bit, you can reach back, grab your ankle, wrap your left arm around it, and bring your heel to your hips. And this is going to be a good, long, big stretch of your quads and the hip flexor complex. Right? And then from here, I'm going to switch to the other leg. So we're going to go into a nice little hip flexion. We can do a few pulses here, like 10 pulses. Make sure your hip moves way in front of your knee, right? Nice and tall spine, abs in, brace your abs a little bit. And then at the end, reach back, grab it with your hands, wrap around, open your chest, bring your hip to your heel, or your heel to your hip, right? So now we stretch the hips, we stretch the quads, the hip flexor in front, and then if you want to go and stretch your hamstrings too, probably the easiest way is to just kind of go into a front split and really feel. I can go about this far, but if you can go a little deeper, that's fine, and just kind of hold this for about 30 seconds. You're going to get a good stretch of your hamstrings here, a good stretch into your hip flexors here. And this is stuff that you can just kind of do at home pretty fast, or after a run, switching legs, right? There we go. Hold this for about 30 seconds. You can put your knee down after that and do one more. Put the knee down, hold it for 10 seconds, come up, really feel a good stretch into your hip flexor, and then lift up and hold this for 30 seconds. Do this like 3 or 4 times, putting your knee down, holding it for 30 seconds. That's going to be really, really good. And then at the end, we want to stretch our calves. So you can go into an A-frame if you want, right? And just use one leg at a time, a little bend in the knee, and extend. A little bend. So I'm doing my right leg. The other one's kind of holding it down. Straighten it and bend the knee. The key is to keep your heel down on the floor the whole time while you're doing 10 reps of knee bend, lift, and then you switch, right? Bend, and straighten. 10 of those. That should be pretty good. All right, I think this is, covers it all. So you always want to start with foam rolling, finishing with stretching, because with foam rolling, you increase the blood flow, you relax the muscle, and then you want to stretch it in that sort of warm position, okay? All right, hope you like this one. I'll see you guys later. Ciao, ciao.